Today we are talking about the 4 most common mistakes I see artists making as they're building their brand and their DJ business. And of course, we're going to talk solutions. The same solutions I used to go from making $30K a year to growing a 6-figure content creator business in less than a year. Let's get into it. What's up, guys? Happy Thursday. This month, I've been focusing on interviews with experts to help you grow your career in tandem with the announcement of Chicago Music Nexus, which, by the way, early bird tickets go on sale next Friday. We have a very limited run of those, so do not miss your chance to secure yours. The response from the conversation with Mario Danza, the episode from 2 weeks ago, has been overwhelming. It sparked some really good conversation, and it opened up Pandora's box a little bit, to be honest. So many of you reached out to let me know the advice he gave on what to invest in your artist career was so helpful, and you wish there was more of that advice available online. And I agree, obviously. That's why I have this podcast. Nearly everything I see online as it relates to growing careers is just way too general and vague. And it's like the same regurgitated shit over and over. It drives me nuts. I will see the most basic advice on an Instagram reel paired with a trending audio, and that advice has like 50,000 likes, or that reel has 50,000 likes. And it's not actionable. It's not stuff that people can actually take and say, okay, I'm going to use this in some way. It's just general bullshit. So in today's conversation with myself, I'm going to give you some actionable solutions that you can implement right now to fix some of the mistakes that you're making with your DJ career. I'm just calling it like it is. I've been professionally creating content in some fashion for more than a decade. I've been paid to make content in some fashion for more than a decade. I've been in a creative career for that long, from TV news to being a solopreneur, consultant, podcaster, influencer now. I started freelancing in 2020, and I went full time with my business in January of 2022. So I've been doing this full time for 2 years now, and everything I've learned along the way is applicable to you as an artist. So let's talk about the 4 biggest mistakes I see artists making today and how to fix them. Number 1, artists are putting the cart before the horse when it comes to marketing. What do I mean by that? Well, the cart is social media and the horse is your branding. I talked about this last week with Franz and with Mario the week before. You need a strong sense of who you are and what your story is in order to make your time spent on social media effective. I know not everybody does this. Let me explain. Go look at Pauza or Clooney's Instagram accounts. It is just videos of their gigs and their releases. It's just hot girls in the booth and really great drops. Let me tell you something. They're the exception to the rule because in one way or another, they've gotten to the point where they are big enough that they don't need to really do anything else on social media besides that. And that's just how it is. Life isn't fair sometimes. But then there's artists like James Hype, for example. He has done an incredible job with his marketing strategy. I just saw this video where he tells a story. He's walking around outside of this club and he tells the story about how he had a job working retail and he wanted to go to this club in Ibiza for the summer and his job said no. And so he pretended to be sick and he literally snuck away to Ibiza and then got fired from that job. That club that he went to is now the very same that he has a summer residency at. He made this video, and by doing so, he brought his audience into the fold on his journey, which creates a deeper connection with them, us, me. And by making this video, he's inspiring his audience to follow their own dreams. And these videos he's making, go look. It's not hard. It's him walking around a venue, talking to the camera. It's super casual. Now, understanding your brand and who you are is going to make social media so much easier. Because instead of throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks, you're crafting content through the lens of your brand. Your brand becomes that filter that you can apply to everything. And once you hit a certain point in your journey, you're headlining festivals, you have residencies in Ibiza, whatever, you can do whatever you want at that point. But there is something to be said about the fact that James Hype still does these types of videos, even at his level. So, how do you figure out your brand? Fortunately, I have plenty of solutions. I talk about this ad nauseum. The first thing you can do is go watch my episode on how to brand yourself as a DJ. I'm going to link that above if you're watching on YouTube, and then in the show notes for you if you're listening to this. That is a very condensed version of the step-by-step branding process I do with my clients. Okay. The second thing you can do is read the book Story Brand. I also have this linked in my show notes as well if you prefer a hard copy, or you can listen to it on audiobook. Story Brand is a full explanation of the process that I use with my clients. But just to let you know, the book is written for corporate businesses, so it may be difficult to understand how it applies to you. That's why I've tweaked it when I work with clients in the music industry and how I've presented this in my episode about branding. Nonetheless, it's a great book. It costs about $15. And if you're doing your taxes and expenses correctly, you can write this off as continuing education. Now, the third thing you can do is you can join my Patreon. I have 3 different tiers, ranging from basic quick branding tips to having access to a resource library where you can complete branding work on your own and get group feedback once a month. And then I have one-on-one private coaching where we can hammer out your brand together. I have 2 students right now that are crushing these sessions. Like, we are getting so much work done. It's actually insane. So those are 3 solutions available to you right now to figure out your brand, ranging from free to a couple bucks a month. And that leads me into the next biggest mistake I see DJs make. They want everything for free. Number 2, artists want everything for free. Now, some of you may think I'm an asshole. You may want to turn off the show because you think I don't understand your unique situation and why you can't spend any money to invest in your DJ career. Listen, I get it. Everybody has a different story, but please just stick this out. Listen to me, because everyone needs some tough love from time to time. In 2022, when the concept for this podcast was in development, I hired a coach to help me see it to the finish line. We were at the part of the course where I needed to pick some intro music, and that was especially tough because everything out there is like so corporate. And obviously this is a show for DJs, so I needed something that didn't suck. And I remember this coach had this resource list of where I could acquire some music. And at the top of the page in bold letters, he wrote, "I didn't include any free music libraries in here because free is shit." Free is shit. That quote runs through my head every single day. Let's say someone reached out to you to produce a track for them and they were going to pay you $5,000. Let's say $5,000 for a track. Would you put the same amount of effort into that track if that same client said, actually, I was hoping you could do this for free? I fucking hope not. Listen, I understand we all start somewhere. When I quit my job to go full time into consulting, building my consulting business, I only paid for one thing besides the computer I already owned. I paid for Grammarly at about $60 a quarter or whatever it is, because I did a lot of writing. So I was like, I need a grammar checker. But as time went on, I knew that if I wanted to hit the next level, if I wanted to find more clients, better paying clients, I needed to start paying for some more tools. So the next thing I bought was a contract template specifically for people like me, so I could offer more official agreements to potential clients than the one that I had just made up in Google Docs. Then I started adding other subscriptions like Canva, ChatGPT Premium, and eventually, very quickly, honestly, I was making enough where I could hire subcontractors to help expand my business. I'm not saying you have to pay for everything all right now. You don't have to go buy the decks and buy the Ableton and buy the this and buy the that. But there's this pervasive issue I see in creative fields where everyone just wants knowledge and help for free. Let me tell you another story. Before I went solo, I was working at this creative incubator as the community director. And it was my job to help put together events for our members who were largely musicians, videographers, marketers. And my co-directors never wanted to charge for these events. It was all free. Everything was free. They didn't want to charge. They wanted to be this resource, whatever. That's noble. But do you know how many people actually showed up to these events? Nobody. Because free is shit. When you RSVP for something and it's free, and then something better comes up, like a dinner with your friends, or you don't feel like sitting in traffic, how likely are you going to show up to that free event? Be honest. And knowing that whoever's hosting the event isn't getting paid, how sure are you that the advice is going to be high quality? Free is shit. When you invest in your career, that monetary investment is the key to keeping you accountable. You're going to show up to that event. You're going to use that subscription. You're going to take yourself more seriously because you're signaling to your brain, hey, I'm paying for this because I'm worth it. So what should you invest in? Well, only you know the answer to that. It's different for everybody. Typically, it is the thing that's been nagging at you, sitting in your cart, or you're getting tons of marketing emails about it because you signed up for like the free version of whatever the real thing you want is, whether it's a piece of software, a coaching program, or new CDJs. You know what it is. And again, investing in furthering your career are write-offs on your taxes. So the benefits to investing in your artist journey are endless. Start small and build as you go. All right, moving on. Number 3, the third biggest mistake I see artists make is that they are not resourceful. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you are not ready to make significant investments in your career, then you need to make do with what you have. One of the biggest fears that holds people back from going all in on their creative careers is one, of course, the money, paying your bills. But the second is figuring out all those other tasks and requirements of living the self-employed life. Things like, well, what about health insurance? What about taxes? What are other ways I can supplement my income? And because these tasks seem so overwhelming, and I know they are, it stops so many people from making the leap. So how do you become resourceful? How do you figure this shit out? There's a lot of bad information on the internet, and a lot of gurus you're going to find on TikTok are really just trying to scare you into following them. And also, pro tip, actual professionals like tax and financial advisors, they're not legally allowed to have social media accounts to give you advice. So just know, take whatever financial advice that you hear from a guru online with a grain of salt. So you need to do your due diligence. But in general, there's 3 things that have helped me navigate through the self-employed life over the past few years. Because remember, I've said this before, I have a journalism degree and a political science degree. Useless pieces of paper, okay? Sorry, not sorry to my professors at Illinois State. It's not your fault. I just didn't know how useless the degrees would be. But that being said, I have figured this all out on myself. I went from having no knowledge to now having an S Corp. I have a freaking corporation, okay? If I can do it, you can too. So what resources are available to start to put together the pieces of the puzzle of how you become self-employed? Number one, Reddit. You guys probably know this better than I do. I feel like I don't use Reddit enough. It's a great starting point for any question you have, whether it's how to, run an Instagram ad for yourself or if a certain tax service is worth it, like TurboTax. Obviously, again, take everything you read with a grain of salt and always verify with true experts. But Reddit has the most real reviews and real advice out of any of the social platforms. Number two, ChatGPT. Don't roll your eyes. So many people are using ChatGPT all wrong. It blows my mind. I cringe when I see AI generated captions and posts and emails I know for a fact are copy and pasted without any refinement. Here, ChatGPT is not your copywriter. It's your assistant. If you need help understanding something, ask ChatGPT. But this is not a lazy solution. You need to put legwork into this. Let me give you an example, because I have ChatGPT open all day, and this is a use case, a recent use case from me. My husband and I have a bunch of food intolerances. It's so annoying, and we like to meal prep, and we like to eat good. I had ChatGPT spit out a meal plan and then a grocery store list based on all our allergies and our preferences in just a few minutes. Like organized as fuck. The possibilities are endless, but just like with Reddit, you need to verify everything on ChatGPT because it can and does get it wrong. Start seeing ChatGPT as your assistant, not your replacement for XYZ, okay? Once you shift your mind that way, like you can get shit done so much faster. Okay, number three, your best resource is your network. This is a mistake that I made a lot when I was younger. We do not ask enough questions of the people that we know and trust. When I first started my solo act, I reached out to someone I worked with when I was a reporter. She used to be in PR for the police department, so I'd have to contact her pretty frequently when I was doing, news stories. And so she quit to freelance write. I texted her when I decided to quit my job. I asked if I could pay her, even though we were friendly. I was like, hey, can I pay you for a phone call to learn about how you did it? She refused payment, but I still sent her a Starbucks gift card anyway because, I was very appreciative of her time. She put me onto so many resources I would have never known existed. Like there'd be no way to find these resources. Like there was these 2 newsletters that she got me connected to that were constantly posting freelance writing gigs. I got so many jobs from those newsletters, and it all came down to a 30-minute conversation with an old friend. Now, there's a caveat here. Like, you have to be respectful of people's time. Don't bombard people with questions, especially if you don't know them that well. But for the most part, like creatives, we are all in this together. Like, we love helping people out. It's how we keep the community strong. So ask questions, and of course, always be willing to lend your expertise to pay it forward. Okay, let's talk about the 4th biggest mistake I see artists making that's hurting their DJ careers. And that is they don't know how to stand up for themselves. This absolutely kills me. Letting labels, promoters, club owners, booking agents, whatever, letting people walk all over you has become the norm in this industry and really all creative fields. And when we allow people to take advantage of artists collectively for so long, standing up for yourself, like doing what you should be doing, actually starts to come off as being combative because people aren't used to it. You have to think about it this way. Every time you accept a gig that's lower than what you're worth, you are setting the standard for the next artist to come in and also get underpaid. And the predatory cycle continues. And it's going to happen to you again and again and again. Listen, I'm empathetic to the fact that we are eager for opportunities. So we might take something a little bit cheaper in the beginning, But that doesn't mean that you just have to roll over and take the first thing offered to you. I'm Sicilian. I always barter. It's in my blood. So if you ask for $400 for a gig, for example, and the club only offers $100, first of all, fuck them. But if you're going to take it because you need the exposure or the content, ask for something else. Ask for something specific on your rider. Ask for a certain amount of guest list spots, or if you can bring your own closer, just ask for something. I don't care what it is, ask for something. There's a way to do this in a nice and professional manner. And if you don't know how, then use ChatGPT to formulate your ask. Honestly, I've done this before because my baseline response tends to come off aggressive because I'm a woman who doesn't have, the inclination to put exclamation points and smiley faces in my emails. So I use ChatGPT to kind of tone check myself, tone police myself. I don't feel like I need to do that, but I've learned to do it because, play the fucking game, whatever. I know it seems scary to negotiate, but you have to start building that muscle. Once you get into the practice of negotiating, it'll become second nature. And the sooner you work on this, the faster you'll grow your career. Because I promise you, industry professionals do not respect people they feel like they can walk all over. They are hoping to take advantage of you. We all are. We all want the best deal for ourselves, right? If someone's constantly, succumbing to your demand, you're the industry professional and you're hiring someone and you're saying, no, I'm going to pay you $50 and, that person just rolls over and takes it. You're not going to respect them. So learn how to stand your ground in a respectful and pleasant way. And you will go further faster. I promise you. I'm going to dive more into this topic on my Patreon this week. And I'm going to give you some templates for negotiating on your own behalf. If you want access to those templates, I will link my Patreon in my show notes. Thank you guys for sticking around. I can't remember if I said this last week, but I hit the year anniversary mark of Elevated Frequencies on June 1st. And it's been a crazy journey so far. It's been a tough journey, to be honest. Building a podcast in what's considered a new niche in the United States, resources for electronic music artists. There's not a lot of us out there. And there's some of you that have been here since the beginning, and I am just so grateful for you, for all the feedback and support. Thank you so much for everything. I'm really looking forward to what this next year brings. And as always, I will talk to you guys next Thursday.